I want to pull up the story. We have this from the Daily Mail.
They're so fast.
This is the headline they're running. U.S. Embassy in Lebanon is set on fire as thousands of pro-Palestinian rioters waving Hezbollah banners encircle the compound before security douses them in tear gas. Rioter plants flag in fence as day of unprecedented anger gets underway. So this is the official reporting. U.S. Embassy under attack. I certainly hope they get our people out of here. I mean, I don't know what Biden thinks he's going to accomplish going into the region right now at this degree of escalation. Yeah. But I certainly hope that our presence there gets our people out of these embassies, and maybe it's time we just say, see you later.
Well, and to Libby's point, though, in terms of the intelligence, I mean, look at the open source intelligence here. We have a potentially escalating conflict. The United States president is coming to visit, and we just moved 2 strike carrier groups into the region. Perhaps we should have thought maybe there could be an issue with our embassy in Lebanon, which is essentially controlled by Hezbollah.
Right.
Like,
it seems like there's been just a ton of intelligent failures for the past few weeks.
Yeah, or maybe they're not failures.
Or maybe they're not.
I agree with Max Blumenthal. He said this was an intelligence failure on the part of Israel. Max is very pro-Palestine. Mm-hmm. And his view is that Israel would never be humiliated in this way. They wouldn't allow it. They wouldn't allow one of their soldiers to be taken because it puts them in such a weak position. Mm-hmm. So I see these arguments. I saw a clip from Charlie Kirk that there's an argument that it benefits Israel to a great degree to have allowed this to happen. But I think the detriment to Israel for this happening, the obvious detriment for the civilians dying, but even politically, is it doesn't make sense that they would.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think part of the things, and we've talked about this before, is how cheap and sophisticated technology is now. So Hezbollah and Hamas in particular, they have drones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have the ability to see where people are moving. You can buy infrared cameras. So they've been tracking, and there was an article out there about they knew exactly where one of these Israeli intelligence centers was just right over the border. They were supposed to be monitoring this kind of activity and took them out immediately. And they knew when those guys were coming, when they were going, because they've been using drones and things of that nature to be able to track that type of thing. And that's where, you're always talking about this qualitative military edge, qualitative. At some point, quantitative does become qualitative, and where you're able to have a lot of assets. And this is where the Iranians swarm technology or swarm tactics rather around U.S. naval vessels and things like that are so dangerous. Sure, look, we got an aircraft carrier. What are you going to do if you got 20,000 boats coming at it? Are you going to shoot them all?
Well, it's like piranhas.
Yeah.
They're little and yappy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They'll kill you. You start to think, too, about how the Americans won in the Revolution. I know we had, like, French support and all of that stuff, but we also kind of invented guerrilla warfare a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
So if you have, and the difference too is that American soldiers are not ideologically driven here, but we're fighting an ideological enemy that believes fully that the best thing that they can do is die as martyrs to their cause.
Right.
They teach their children that. I mean, there were TV shows like, I forget what it was called. I know I have it on here somewhere in one of these 5,000 tabs I have open. But there were TV shows that were running in like 2007 to 2014 in Gaza and the West Bank that were produced in the West Bank at TV studios. And it was like cartoon, like a sort of Mickey Mouse type of character.
I've seen
yeah. And it was teaching them that being jihadis was their best option for life. Yep. The extremism of this Islamist ideology and the way that it really changed, I think, when the terrorists started pushing it fully.
Well, it's Wahhabism.
It's really, I mean, it's really destructive. Obviously, it's really destructive, but how do you fight someone that wants to die?
Exactly.
Right. Well, and, that ideology you mentioned, to bring that full circle back to what we were talking about just a moment ago, there's people on colleges' campuses chanting from the river to the sea.
That's so terrifying.
From the river to the sea. What does that mean? That means the annihilation of the Jewish state of Israel. That means the annihilation of the Jews in that land. Yeah. That's what that means, from the river to the sea.
Yes, it does.
And so that's why you ask any leftist, they're not going to give you a straight answer. What would happen if the security fencing around Gaza was removed? and Israel said, everyone here, you can just go do whatever you want. Even the left knows. The right will say it explicitly. Oh yeah, they'll go and start killing citizens and civilians.
Right.
They'll call them settlers. Yep. The left will just hem and haw and deflect because they know what the answer is.
Yep.
You know, and I think the reason why you get this answer from leftists, which is they'll try and dodge it, they can't publicly say, oh, we know what will happen, and then gloat in their calling for what would eventually be civilian deaths. They also know that if they publicly state that Hamas should not do it, the leftists are going to attack them saying, you think they should bow down to settlers, blah, blah, blah. The left really has, they know most people oppose what they're proposing, and they know the left would take issue if they reject what the left is proposing.
Right.
So they can't answer the question honestly.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Just thinking about the guerrilla warfare stuff too is like, it made me think of Vietnam.
Sure.
And it was so bad with the guerrilla warfare over there that we had to seed the clouds to try to start water, like rain to fall to destroy their pathways
to fight
them. Fighting that kind of stuff is impossible.
The craziest thing that the psyops of Vietnam, my one of my favorite military concepts, when they would put speakers in the jungle, playing the sound of a wailing Vietnamese soldier saying, why did I fight? Why didn't I go home to be with my family? I'm trapped forever. Flee while you can. Don't be trapped like me. Because the superstition among the Vietnamese was that if you weren't given a proper burial, you were doomed to wander the earth. So they would play these spooky ghost sounds that were so effective, the South Vietnamese would flee as well. So they had to stop doing it. But in that regard, that's old school. That's 50 some odd years ago. The psychological operations we're going to see now are going to be all social media based.
Definitely.
Right, and they've been happening for some time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, these videos we're watching, we are at the point. It could be now that these videos are AI generated.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're like, wow, look at this atrocity in the photos and everything. We had the argument over whether the photo was AI generated already. This is a horror show.
Yeah.
I mean, the United States can put out videos of anything they want using AI.
Yep.
And what are you going to do? Every journalist just agrees with it, and then there's no journalism anymore.
Yeah. How are you?
Well, we're in that. That is a tough spot. It's like that Evelyn Waugh novel Scoop, where journalists just show up to the war zone, and the one guy shows up to the war zone, and he's like, "Where's the war?" And everyone's like, "Shh, there isn't really one."
Oh, wow.
Just chill.
Well, I remember this was there was a big social media troll campaign several years ago, where people were taking old photos of like military convoys, and then tweeting that, I can't believe this is happening. And they were saying something in like Ohio. I can't remember which state it was. And then I'm on Twitter and I'm seeing all these posts where they're like, dude, it's happening now. Everyone was in on it. It was a game. But a lot of people didn't understand and thought it was real. You see a video of like a tank driving down the street. Then you see like police pushing people back. And everyone was claiming that all these things were one incident that happened when it was just random videos.
Stuff, put
It's
together.
maximum absurdity with unbridled horror on the internet. And that is what is driving me insane, being on Twitter every time I open it up, because I see, something has been confirmed, then that immediately that thing has been canceled out. It's crazy. And I still don't want to suppress that bad information. I think it just needs to be out there so we can fight it, because I see other people calling for it to be somehow suppressed or have Twitter step in, which I also think is ridiculous.
Well, dude, I guarantee, like the operation Tim was talking about was called Operation Wandering Soul. And I guarantee, if anyone wants to look into it, I don't know if the chat is interested, but if you don't think that there's something like that going on, or at least numerous operations that are going on right now to both combat this new AI, I guess we'll call it misinformation, and to create new misinformation as well, because the best defense is a good offense, then you're kidding yourself. There are definitely things going on right now that you don't know about, and none of us know about, and we can't speak anything about it, and neither could you, I'm sure, as well. We don't know. And
just the knowledge of the AI stuff happening makes it so people are there's widespread skepticism already is built in.
Yeah, exactly. It's already part of the operation just to know that this is going on. It's already one of the things that they're aware of.
Right.
In one of these operations that's going on.
Right.
Yeah, it's
that's
so
why the
deep
videos. So many of the videos
think.
are like so incredibly emotional.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because if
All
you
appeals
are
to it.
first struck with an emotion, then you're going to react in a way that corresponds to that. And you're not going to question it first. When they get you with your feelings first, that's when you really have to watch out and be careful.
Totally.
And
that's something we talk about at Post Millennial all the time with the social media team. And we're all like, okay, You just got to chill. You got to stay frosty. You got to like keep your wits
Stay
about you.
frosty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something actually Jack Posobiec said a while ago. He was like,
yeah.
stay frosty. And
Stay
we're like, that
frosty.
is
I like
the
that.
motto.
Nice one,
Yeah.
Jack.
Really good.
That's a good one. I know
Yeah.
where you're getting that, my friend.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.